All right, Kristen Mader is with me. He is with The Current. I know I follow The Current. I love the news that you do, and I have a news background, so I'm super passionate about your organization. But the
Thank
first
you.
thing I want to ask you is, The Current is now a nonprofit news organization, which is something I've never heard of. So explain that to me first.
So nonprofit news organizations have actually been around for a while. NPR is a really good example of that. So you see that in KRBS or WRKF if you listen to public radio. So we follow a similar model, which means we rely on membership donations to survive, right?
Mhm.
The big difference between what we do and what you might see from other types of news organizations is we view our work as explicitly a public service, right? And what we're finding in the media landscape generally, and also just kind of in this specific moment when you're dealing with a pandemic, right, is more and more people are relying on information, but the business models that support that information aren't working so well. So you're losing advertisers and you're losing subscribers. And in some cases, that's meant news organizations have had to furlough reporters, right? And our business model allows us, or I would say actually motivates us to continuously invest in information, right? So when the coronavirus hit, the first thing we did was we realized the information landscape was really fluid and moving really quickly. So we normally operate a weekly newsletter. We went daily immediately, right? And we started a Facebook group that we actually moderated with some other news organizations in town, the Advocate and the Advertiser, and made sure that we could vet information that came into there, into that group for a few thousand people. We stood up some like website resources, dashboards, those kinds of things, so we could track things for people. And we started hiring more freelancers because the reality is there was more information to get after in that moment. And being a nonprofit, the way that we raise money and the way that we set our budgets allows us to do that, right? We're able to go and say, this is where the community's information needs are now, and we're going to boost our operations to meet that. And so that's kind of the advantage of the nonprofit news model, right? Because we're not necessarily thinking about what profit margin we're going to have at the end of the year, but rather whether we served the community's bottom line, which is whether we met them where they needed us.
I love this concept. Wow, I don't know. I can't wait to follow to see how it changes the industry in news. This is fascinating. Well, congratulations for one, trying to preserve The Current, and two, for really just taking the risk to make it a nonprofit news agency. So it shows your mission is truly to gather information, and you realize that you are a public service to the community. That's what news organizations are for, is to provide information to the public for public service and public safety as well. So, okay, you're participating in South Louisiana Giving Day. So thank you for supporting us.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
How will the funds be utilized that you receive through Giving Day?
So what we'd like to do is take this this double down sprint that we've been on and keep it going, right? So what we found is that there was an immediate need. That need is changing because the nature of the pandemic and the kind of information that it produces is changing. So we want to use this opportunity to continue that work that we were doing over the next couple of months. We're going to continue to tailor that to the community's needs. But what we found is that there's a need for more reporting. And so we're going to use these funds to try and keep up the pace, so to speak, right? So, we doubled down when this thing hit, and we got to keep doing that, right? So that's why we're trying to raise money right now.
I know at one point you talked about needing donations to sort of enhance and update the technology for which you produce and distribute news. Is that still sort of a long-term or short-term plan for you guys?
Well, the reality is it's both, right?
Yeah.
So let me give you an example. Like over the last month, right, we had to create a dashboard. So we wanted to create a way that people could go to our website and find information in a reliable way, and that was just going to be reliably there. By that I mean, like, if you go to your average homepage, right, the information changes, but we needed a place that we could store stuff that would be static. So if we did FAQs, right, that we were getting a lot of frequently asked questions from people, and so we'd answer them, go to experts, a place that would house it. We had to do updates to our site to make that work. We also did a story that we were really proud of about a woman who, advocated for making sure some of this information would be shared in Spanish. And so we thought, well, what if we actually publish this story in Spanish? Easy enough to do with a translator, but then we actually had to update the site to host content in Spanish, right? So
Right.
a lot of times when we make changes, because we're a small organization and we're very nimble, it does put stress on our platform that we don't necessarily anticipate. And so you actually have to go and, we work with a web developer and get them to do it. So we're constantly making upgrades. And maybe people don't always notice them. And frankly, when they don't, that means we're doing the right upgrades, right? So those are sort of short-term things, but we're going to continue to upgrade the site to make it a better ongoing resource for people, in particular as we kind of adopt strategies and tactics that enable us to sort of answer questions where they are, rather than just looking at, okay, well, here's a story we have to write, like rather saying, here's a very specific question this person has, and we're going to answer it and make sure that it's preserved in a place that people can access it and use it as a resource you know, ongoing.
Yeah, and technology is not cheap, that's for sure.
No, I mean, so we're digital first, meaning like we never had a print product,
Mhm.
so we operate in that space, which means we're constantly having to adapt, and yeah,
Yeah.
that's expensive.
All right, so folks, The Current is going to be participating in South Louisiana Giving Day. This is a 24-hour online fundraising event for nonprofit organizations, churches, and schools. Support The Current. You can do so. Go to the website, solagivingday.org. You can go now and schedule a donation, or you can join us on the fun day, Thursday, May 7th, where we'll all be watching the leaderboard and rallying for our organizations. So support The Current. I've been telling folks, if they'll give $10, if everybody in Acadiana could just throw up $10 to support organizations and you guys, I mean, that adds up, right? I mean, every little bit counts. So thank you so much. Well, congratulations on the progress you've made so far. I can't wait to watch you guys on Thursday, May 7th, and we hope everyone will get out and donate. So thank you so much.
Thank you, I appreciate it. We're thrilled to be a part.